Odds are, when you first started surf fishing, you did it with bait. Depending on where you made your first casts off the beach, that bait could have been anything from bloodworms to bunker chunks. On this trip, I'm getting back to my surf casting roots, fishing fresh clams off Jersey Shore sand for some northbound striped bass. The Atlantic surf clam is the largest bivalve in the Northeast. They live just under the sand in turbulent waters where they are occasionally preyed upon by black drum and cownose rays, but not striped bass. Stripers lack the pharyngeal crushers, a set of bony plates deep inside the throat of a fish, to pulverize the shells and expose the tender meat inside. Fortunately for bass, Mother Nature takes care of that part for them. Big waves dislodge clams from their sandy homes, toss them about and crack them open, presenting an easy meal to opportunistic striped bass. Squarely in the middle of the surf clams range is Ocean County, New Jersey, the clam fishing capital of the striper surf. Every spring and fall, surfcasters flock to this section of Garden State shoreline to bait and wait for striped bass. Keeping these anglers flush with fresh clams are a number of excellent bait shops like Grumpy's Tackle and Seaside Park. They're a full-service shop specializing in rod building, reel repair, and local knowledge from the hardcore fishermen who work there, like Frankie Z, Scott Thomas, and manager Ray Carrico.
So I'm hoping to do some clamming while I'm down here. It's been a while since I've done some clamming. What's the go-to rig? Do you do
high-low rigs?
High-low, okay,
Yeah.
so no fish finder?
High-lows have been out catching fish finders like 10 to 1. I do 7-aught or 8-aught. There's some bigger fish around, so I want the bigger hooks.
All right.
The clams are really nice quality right now. We're doing the fresh shucked. They're still catching on salted, but when we have fresh, it's crazy. You can count on fish.
Yes.
If you're going out there with fresh.
All right. And sinker size?
Today, that one just switched south. I'd say probably 5 to 6 today.
Okay. Awesome, dude. Well, thank you very much, man. I'm going to load up.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, buddy, you're all set.
Thank you very much,
got it,
man.
brother.
I can't wait. I'm pumped to be back down.
Yes, sir. Good luck. Let us know how you make out.
I will do.
All right, buddy.
Guys, thank you very much.
Take care,
Thank
all right?
you, man.
Good luck.
I arrive at the beach just before sunset at low tide. While it's not the best time to fish, it's the perfect time to scout the structure and make a plan for where to spend the prime higher tides tomorrow. So I am a little out of practice at reading the water. Like when you're fishing sandy beach structures, you're really we've got good conditions for reading the water because you got an onshore wind, so you have some good waves. Waves are going to break over the shallower water where it's calm and darker. You're going to have a little bit of a deeper spot. So I can see the bar breaking out there. So I want to get these clams on the back side of the bar and see what happens. First I need to tie my rig. Scott at Grumpy's said high-low rig. So no fish finder. For this simple high-low rig, I'm just going to do a double surgeon's loop for the sinker. And then I'm going to do a dropper loop. It's going to ultimately be for the clam, for the circle hook that's going to have the clam on it. Well, I don't need that to be too long, maybe 5-6 inches. It's as simple gets for these baits. Now, if I was fishing a chunk of bunker and something that I might want to give the fish some time to eat, in that case, I would go with probably a fish finder rig because I could drop back to it. But these soft clams, as soon as the fish grabs it, it's going to go right down the hatch. So I don't need to drop back to them at all. I just need to tighten up and let the circle hook do its thing. Okay. lot nicer than the buckets I used to use when I was doing more of the bait fishing, more of the clam fishing. Nice tackle tray. Got my stinky clams down beneath. As anytime you are bait fishing for striped bass now, it's essential, it's with the regulations, that you have to be using an inline circle hook. So an inline circle hook means that the point is directly back at the shank of the hook. Hook manufacturers make offset circles where that point is going to be tilted a couple of degrees off to the side, and that makes it easier to put the bait on, but sometimes at the expense of deep hooking some fish. So for striped bass, the regulations say you need an inline circle hook. That's what I have right here. Loop that onto the dropper. I'm going to put a 5-ounce pyramid onto my double surgeon's loop. I'm going to hope I don't make myself look too silly trying to cast my conventional into the surf after a winter of no practice with it. So when you're clam fishing, you usually got a few options for the clams. You have fresh, salted, or frozen. The salted clams, because the salt sucks some of the moisture out of it, toughens them up a little bit, but because they're tougher, not quite as effective as fresh. They're not dispersing that fresh clam scent. So if you can get fresh, which we just did over at Grumpy's Tackle, I would advise using that. But because the fresh clams are a little softer, and when you're casting in the surf, you want to be able to lean into that cast, get it out to the fish past the sandbar, you're going to want to use something called clam thread. It's just basically elastic string that you wrap around the clam bait to help it stay secured to the hook through the cast, to last out there long enough for you to hook into a striped bass. Okay, so got my 8/0 circle hook right here. I'll take the clam, and I'm going to go with the whole shebang. If I'm seeing some bait stealers, if I'm dealing with skates or maybe a bunch of schoolie stripers, maybe I'll cut it down, start using halves. But for now, I'm going to go into the soft part, out through the tongue of the clam, kind of like that. Then I'm going to take my clam thread. And what's nice about clam thread is you buy it, it'll last you for a good long time. I've had this piece of clam thread since I was buying, probably since my last trip to Island Beach State Park, all my own fishing clams, which might, oh God, I'm embarrassed to say, might be 2007 or 2008. So I don't want to goop it up too much around the hook. I want to leave that point exposed. And again, I'm not going too crazy with it, but just enough, especially through the soft part of the clam. And then to break it on there. I don't have to tie a knot or anything. It's going to bite into the clam and into itself. All right, one big clump of clam. I'm going to try to get out on the bar, see if I get something out into the feeding lane of a hungry striped bass. Cast number 1 was a little short, but that's okay. Try it out. Part of the ways striped bass will naturally encounter clams in the surf is right in this wash, right in the waves, because stripers aren't like black drum where they're equipped with big crushers in their throat, those pharyngeal teeth that can crush a full surf clam shell. Stripers rely on Mother Nature, the big waves, to bash those clams together, uproot them from the sand, bash them together, crack them, and then leave that easy meal for them to come suck down. So that's why you don't want to be necessarily in calm water when you're doing this. You'd rather be something a little bit more churned up than this. Ideally a hole between sandbars. But right now, Adam and I are here at low tide, a little less than ideal, but we're gonna give it hell anyhow until bedtime, or until dark, or dinner time. We've got a big day planned tomorrow. Oh, much, much better. There we go. Just had to get the rust out. first light tides will be similarly low, so instead of fishing the same beach during the same unproductive period, I call in reinforcements. My good friend Shelly Caris has been fishing the New Jersey surf for nearly 70 years, and if anybody can help me break the ice on this trip, it's him. It just so happens he's been on a good bluefish bite in the backwaters, so we rack the bait rigs and grab the topwaters.
And the tide is low now, so it's moving out this way, the current. But notice that you're blocked here a little bit. We're not as...
Yeah, now it's exposed to the
bad.
open bay.
You can see that darker area, that's where it starts to get deep. Not a really long cast at all.
Oh, right away.
Saw that.
There, he's on now.
Oh man, almost doubled shell.
This is the nice part about that one hook. No pliers needed. They come through in waves though. You know, if you notice that guy, he got the first one there and then you just need a few more to cruise through. And sometimes you get a few guys working their plugs and everything there, they get that frenzy. They think there's food there and they're zigzagging looking for that bait.
That's a big one. That's a big blue. All right, didn't get skunked. Clams, take 3.
Back on the beach, the tide has risen, filling in the troughs and covering the sandbars, creating an ideal feeding situation for northbound stripers searching for an easy meal.
Five-ounce pyramid. Clam, trusty clam thread. And my trusty clams. I'm gonna still go with a whole clam, but if I miss another bite, I might start going to half clams. Because maybe I've got too much bait on my hook. Could be. Could be that, might not be that. A couple wraps of the clam thread. Crystal clear. Nice and easy. Yeah, you don't need to cast super far. I mean, generally the best structure and the stuff they want to eat is close to the beach. So, I like that spot. It's in a little hole between sandbars. It's one of the spots we saw last night at low tide. Guy swimming to my left. All right, maybe we'll spook them this way. Now I popped back in the Grumpies today, see if I get any more fresh intel from them. And they said, like, the guys who are having the best luck are the ones who are letting it soak for a little bit. Let that bait stay out there, don't move it. You know, sometimes when the bite's fast and furious or the fish are real picky, you want to keep refreshing that bait. Let it sit for 10 minutes, come out there. Like, bait fishing is not necessarily a set it and forget it type of fishing. But the guy said, you know, the guy, Ray at Grumpies and Scott at Grumpy said, leave the bait out there, give it a little bit longer soak, because it seems like the fish are spread out, it's taking them a while to find it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna assume the Captain Morgan pose. We're gonna see what happens. Here we go. Yes! Yes! All right, so that's how you set the hook on a circle hook. Not at all like I did last night. Oh, oh. You know what? I don't think that's a striper. And it's probably no coincidence that this bite came as soon as those birds moved in. Yeah, that's not a bass, it's a blue. Big bluefish. All right. Not at all the target species. Beautiful. Circle hook. Did its job perfectly, right in the corner of the bluefish's mouth. We'll take it. Beautiful fish. You see that concave belly there? He's just moving in. He's moving in from offshore. He has not had a chance to feed yet. Go ahead, buddy. Whoop. So that's what they call racer bluefish. They call them racers because they come in, they're real skinny, like marathon runners, which is basically what they did coming in from offshore, not feeding. So they have that concave gut like that. As he moves in here, he's gonna find all the bunker, the spearing, all the bait fish, and he's gonna fatten up real quick. I'm gonna check this leader. And yeah, I'm gonna have to cut that back. So even though that fish was hooked in the corner of the mouth, when he initially grabbed it, he had it up here. So this is all shredded. So I'll need to cut this back. I could probably get away with it with another fish that size. This is why you don't want to take chances. If that next cast is a 40-inch striped bass, you know, I'm going to fight that knowing I've got a compromised leader. So I'm going to re-rig real quick, get a clam out there, see what else is happening. Like, they're pretty persistent, especially when it comes to bait. Here we go, here we go. Wow, wrapped it. That's a, oh, come back, stay, don't. Oh, checking my phone. Man, they like wham, 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 wham. And then, there he goes, got him that time, Oh. Oh, he's taking a little line. Oh, he's off. Felt like a good fish. hold the hook. He was on there long enough. He should not have pulled that hook. Oh man, he smoked it. He smoked it. That was a good fish. Bass or blue, it was had a little heft to it. So the move is paid off. Well, it hasn't paid off, but it's already paid off with a bite. It's active out here. Oh, come on. You on there? Ready up?
Though I'd lost the fish, it felt like things were turning around. The bite was about to break open. All I had to do was land this next cast right in the zone. As the tide dropped, so did the chances of hooking up. I weighed my options and headed back to the bay to salvage the trip with the surfcaster's favorite plan B before heading home.
All right, last cast. Now allow me to explain to you the rules of last cast, as explained to me by my former boss down at Fanatics Marine Supply in Ocean City, New Jersey, that the lure must come back clean, not fouled, no hook on the line, no seaweed on the line. You must not have had a hit, or missed a fish, or snag, or a tangle. It must be a perfect last final offering to the fish. Only then can it be a true last cast. Even in that case, you should probably make a couple more. Yeah, got him. I love bluefish.
While the trip wasn't the return to my clam fishing roots that I'd planned on, it actually took me back even further into my surf fishing past, to when stripers were fewer and further between, but I could always count on a bluefish to save the day.
I just love blues.